Hey guys, Insomnia here with some more AFK Arena. Today we are getting ready for the Abyssal Expedition. It will actually be up shortly, so we're going to run through a quick guide. That way you can really start off the Abyssal Expedition right. So looking here, we are enrolled. Matchmaking starts in 3 hours. We are going honorable. We have 11 guildies who are honorable. So we are going to shoot for Prince. Prince will actually give us the most bonuses out of here, which is what we're going for, the honorable enrollment. So these are your two choices. Honorable are usually more of the hardcore players or the players that are going to put a lot more time into the Vault of Time. Casuals is more just of your casual players. We see a lot of players in casuals that don't even log in from what I've noticed. Running this on a couple different accounts, so it's very, very cool. Let's look at the rewards really quick. Looking through here, this is the rank system. Unfortunately, there is no skin. So we are not going to see a skin out of this Abyssal Expedition like we did with Iran skin, but overall very, very good rewards. Even if you don't hit Duke, you don't hit Prince, if you're coming in here getting your rare stones, getting the elite stones, getting some poke coins, getting a few summons, faction summons, there is a lot of loot to be had in here, and make sure that you're having fun with this. So let's go ahead and we'll get into Artie's guide. So looking at the guide, the Abyssal Expedition Season 3, Artie and Elpex does an absolute amazing job in really breaking this down. A link to the guide will be below. That is up on Reddit. But looking at the introduction, we know that 3 questions you really ask yourself that we hear from a lot of players. Should I go casual? Should I go honorable? 3 easy questions. Do you have 10 legendary, ascended, or above heroes? The reason for this is you do have to be able to take lands and actually put legendary heroes into these lands as part of the titles, which we'll look for in a little bit. Number 2, do you trust your guild to be active and communicate? Also taking into account where your guild is at. So a lot of guilds may not be that far in the Abyssal Expedition or even that far in progression. When you look, you might have a half dozen people going honorable. You might have the same amount going casual. So depending on that, because if you only have 10 or 15 people in your guild going with the honorable route, it might see a lot more gameplay, but the guild communication not too important because a lot of people might be on different sides. It might not make a difference until the very end. Number 3, do you have at least an hour to spare? Hour, even probably a little less than an hour, but roughly each day. That way you can log on, you can collect your essence, you can make some progression. If you do not put a little bit of time in this, I recommend logging in at least twice a day. That way you can continue to make advancement and you don't get left behind. Essentially, if you get left behind with the group that is running the Abyssal Expedition, you will have to burn through all of your stamina to actually catch up to them, which can be very, very time consuming. So the second box we look here, you and 69 other players are in a vast map, multiple aspects, which we will look at in just a couple minutes at the actual map and what it looks like itself. 3 is the marginal ratings. A lot of people don't understand what that means. All your heroes are set to the lowest level hero in the crystal, divided by 10 plus 240. Gear is equalized to tier 1 mythic, meaning the tier 2 doesn't make a difference. But one of the big caveats here, and applies a faction if the hero is wearing mythic or above gear with a faction. So going through your teams, making sure you're equipping faction gear onto heroes with the appropriate faction, because it does give you a bonus when it comes to the Abyssal Expedition. This is probably one piece that a lot of players overlook. I actually go through, I build what teams I'm going to do for all 5 of my formations when I unlock them. Also ensuring that they have the mythic faction gear on there as well. In addition, Elder Tree and Furniture signature bonuses are applied. No artifacts, no union, so no big difference about that. But Elder Tree is a very, very big sticking point, because the Elder Tree, if you're going Celerity, if you're going Sorcery, you can respec the Elder Tree to make your hero stronger. So when you're in the Abyssal Expedition, you can actually do significant more. The furniture and signature items, kind of building through the expedition. If you don't have them built when you start, that's okay, because you can still make progression through the expedition even without them if you're relatively new. So looking at the 4th point, settlements. This is how you progress through the map. Settlements contain a team of enemy heroes. When defeated, reward you with capturing the tile. There are villages, there are cities, there are towns. There's a bunch of different settlements. If the settlement does not have a unit on it, meaning does not have a city or a village or doesn't have a town, anything, those towns can be settled themselves. The settlement bonus will give you a 5% bonus as long as it is connected to a boss. So make sure that when you're connecting to a boss or when you're near a boss, you take one blank tile that does not have a village, does not have a city, does not have a town, is completely empty to settle. It'll actually put a little camp up there with your name on it, so giving you the 5% bonus buff to the boss, which gives us Blessed Essence and Relics. Blessed Essence is the resource unique to the Abyssal Expedition. This allows you to build vastly overpowered relics, which is the point of the Abyssal Expedition overall. Camps can also naturally drop relics. Relics are built in 5 trees based on the Elder Tree, which will go in a little bit more depth in the guide in just a couple minutes. So looking at number 6, these are the titles. So running down the titles, when you start getting a little bit further, as you can see in task 6, where you have to garrison heroes. Garrison heroes at 10-5 tier or higher. That is the reason, if you actually zoom in right here, garrison a hero at 10-5 tier or higher settlements. If you do not have your 10 legendary heroes like we spoke about in the beginning, you will not be able to hit Duke, you will not be able to hit Prince, no matter what you do. You don't have enough heroes to garrison in those 5-tier towns. So unfortunately, you will not be able to progress. You'll be stuck at Marquise, and you will not be able to progress any further. This is just kind of a breakdown. It's very easy. Pretty much the first day, you at least want to get through the first 3. Baron, Viscount is kind of where you want to end, especially by the end of the first day. Should be pretty easy as long as you can go ahead and build those up. Viscount is what you're working for towards the end of the first day, which is good, solid progression. So looking at number 7, which is food. Every battle, when you start, costs 12 stamina. You get a maximum of 6 food refunded or 6 stamina refunded. You get 2 for winning in 30 seconds. You get 2 for not losing in a hero fight. You get your final 2 from successfully completing the battle, which is good. If you have to restart, so if you actually restart the battle, it does cost 1 food to restart the battle. So make sure that you take it off the auto. That's one of the biggest killers. If you're going to either use 1 stamina essentially to restart, or you're going to lose 2 stamina because you lost a hero, make sure that you're going the easy route and getting as much stamina and retaining as much stamina as you can when you're playing. So looking at number 8, the bosses. These are spread around the map, active as gates. There's actually 3 different bosses. So you have a first one, a second one you have to get through, and then the final boss. Primary objective is to maximize efficiency between boss fights and farming relics. Attack these designated by a guild leader or when comparing damage to other players. Big thing with this, if you start attacking the bosses too early, you will not have strong enough relics. So essentially you'll just be dumping tons and tons of stamina into the boss. Hundreds and hundreds. Stamina, you only get 4 per hour. So your stamina is very, very limited. So make sure once you hit a boss, the ideal is day 1, you're not going to take down a boss. Possibly even day 2, you're not going to take down a boss. You need relics strong enough to be able to kill the gate. And then once you kill the boss at the gate, the ability to move through without just absolutely destroying all of your stamina because your relics are not high enough to attack the boss yet. We recommend is when you start fighting on the boss that you have at least level 2, 2.4 is really recommended for the bosses, making sure that you're on level 2 relics with 4 of the relics unlocked to really maximize the damage on the very first boss. 9 is the strategy. This is the very, very big point. When we start by assessing the beginning, players may choose between going left or right side. The difference between them are minimal. The big thing is one side is the mage side, one is the celerity side, which is designated by the bosses. This provides to be extremely inefficient as players who went with mage being extremely behind on farm comparison to celerity users. So essentially the big point between them, mage heroes do a lot of damage, but they don't have dodge. With the lack of dodge, they don't have the survivability to really be effective. So the mage side was actually lacking significantly because of this fact. Celerity does a lot of damage, just like the mage does, but they have dodge. Because of the dodge factor that they bring, very, very much easier to do the celerity side because of the dodge that celerity brings. I would suggest everyone start celerity and transition around 4.4 on celerity if you boss plan revolves around mages. You'll see as you get further into the expedition, you'll be building multiple trees because they have enough resources in this expedition to build multiple trees. So looking at the starting heroes, I would simply pick one team that you find successful in PvE. So whether you're running the God tier comp, whether you're running the Daemon comp, the Gwen comp, Sophia Iran comp, look at your starting teams that you usually use in PvE. Those are the teams that you want to use. Because when you start the Relics or when you start the Abyssal Expedition, you do not have Relics. You have none. So you need to be able to take Village 1s, 2, and 3 without Relics when you start to really set it up for success. And those are the teams that without Relics will be able to take those. If you come straight in and use 10 Celerity heroes, same thing as you don't have any Relics for Celerity, so it'll be very, very difficult to take the Village 2s and the Village 3s right off the bat because you are running all Celerity and you have no Relics for them. Once you've expended all of your stamina, so as you can see from our starting teams here, we have Daemon Taline, the other side is the Iran Leica. Once you spend all of your stamina, so you're as close to 0 as you cannot attack anymore, drop out those teams. This is where the Relics will start building. Once you've expended all the stamina, switch them out. Go Mage, go Celerity, whatever side you're on, whatever you're going for, swap in the core teams that you're going to be using. Essentially, by the time that you're going to use these teams, you will already have multiple Relics built, which again, the team here shows all Celerity heroes. So if you're going Celerity, very, very strong build here. From here, focus on taking settlements and upgrades of tier 2. What we say is 2 tiers at a time. So if I have a village 1, it should be going to a 3. If I have a village 2, it should be going to a town 1, and so on and so forth. To go from tier to tier to tier, so if I go from a village 1 to a village 2 to a village 3, I am using too much stamina and not being able to progress fast enough. If you cannot go from a 1 to a 3, wait for Relics. Essentially, that is the point you want to wait for Relics. You'll build up enough stamina. Once you have enough stamina to move on to those stronger settlements, it'll be very, very easy to go from a 1 to a 3 or a 2 to a 4 because you have the Relics now and you have the stamina, making it very, very viable. So again, starting with your strongest teams, your strongest PvE team comps that you have. If you don't have team comps, then it is your strongest heroes to start. So looking at the next part, which is the map. Pathing, as you can see, kind of a very, very rough line, which way you do have to go through. This is the path of least resistance. What will essentially happen is when you're looking at the map here, a spot like the one over here on the left, essentially when you hit a boss, all of the heroes will spread. When you hit a town towards the middle, again, when you hit a boss stage, when you hit different parts, all of the players will kind of spread and start taking other settlements because essentially you have to be strong enough to be able to get through the boss, which is going to take a little bit of time to build Relics. To really build Relics, you also do have to have towns, villages, everything maximized. So the faster you get Essence, the faster you're going to build Relics, the faster you're going to progress through the Abyssal Expedition. Which brings us to number 11, which is actually right down here, Relic building. This is one of the most important parts. Focus exclusively on one class. So when you look at classes, there are really 3 that you want to go for, or 3 that you want to make your choices. Mage, Celerity, and Might. Those are the 3 relics that you'll be building. Choose one of those 3 trees. That's what you're going to be building. With those 3 trees, once you start getting them higher, you will start putting substance heroes in or putting a couple support heroes in to either mage support, or you're going to do Celerity support or Might with support to make sure that you can have them essentially live as you get stronger. This maximizes your boss damage. Around rank 4 on Relics is where you get a title quest requiring all Relics to be level 3, which when you get there, it will require all Relics to be level 3. Further on, they'll have you complete all Relics to level 4. Around when you're approaching the end boss, you have to decide your boss strategy. Ainz takes 70% reduced damage from all mages and substance, where Abyssal takes 70% reduced damage from Celerity and Might. This is the reason you do have to split up the raid and really decide who is going to go what side, what class. Because if you're running a Celerity Might, or if you have 70 players in here, 50 of the 70 are running celerity, you are going to absolutely burn down one boss. The other boss is going to get enraged and be able to, or be very, very difficult to kill at that point. As such, ideally players balance your mage and celerity output. However, some guilds may rely on a strategy of having some players develop into mages at this point while others stay celerity. Very important not to kill one of the bosses. You'll actually have to slow down damage if you're killing more than one bosses, because as you can see there, when they are enraged, roughly 3 times harder to kill. So super, super hard, and you will just be dumping stamina into the boss, being unable to kill him because he is enraged. For exact mythic relic priorities, focus on high damage relics. This has always been the case with every single Abyssal expedition that we have run. Focus on the damage relics. The bosses output very minimal damage themselves. I suggest looking at attack, crit, amplification for mages, might, and celerity. Do not completely max out one relic. So when you're looking at the relics, there are 6 available. You want to pick the 3 or 4 that prioritize the attack and the crit. The more damage you can put up on this battles, good, because the bosses do not do very much damage overall. Looking at number 12, which is the hero priority. This will change in every single layout, in every single, essentially every single player, because it really depends on who you have. So as you can see right here, for the first 10 for immediate tile collection, they went with Sophia Iran combo, very, very strong team with Rowan, and then it went with a celerity team. Starting off, I would probably put in 2 of my main comps till they're all exhausted and then swap them out. So here they even swapped in Kaz and Chasm, Pharrell, and Verk. They swapped out the rest of the team, making it all celerity. So looking at the next heroes, Artie kind of did a couple choices here, which we have one pretty good team there with Saurus and Isolde, which can be utilized to kill bosses. The rest of them is celerity and substance. If you look down the row, you have Rowan, you have the twins, you have substance heroes there, you have Taylene, you have Rose, you have Rain, a lot more substance heroes kind of going down the line, as well as putting in some of your warrior heroes at that point. So making sure, again, picking your tree is what you're going to start with. So if you're starting and you don't have Iran, you don't have Leica, if you have more mages, you can start with mages. But the first heroes that you put in are going to be the main hero comps that you're using. So looking at 13, these are the rewards. Credit to White Sushi. Big shout out to White Sushi. Always amazing. So when you're going through here and you're picking up your rewards, you want the Twisted Essence, the Tree Juice. Pole coins you can buy. Same with the amplifying emblems you can buy. Out of those 2, pole coins are the choice when you hit Earl. When you hit Duke, red chest, absolutely so hard to get. This is just a general guide, but these are the priorities. These are the most value when you're going through the Abyssal Expedition. Which brings us to basic tips. Always communicate. You cannot solo anything, especially when you get to the T8s. Even some of the best players in the game cannot solo T8s. It is meant to be a team-orientated event. Use the settlement feature on blank tiles, connecting for bosses for 5% damages. Enemies such as Orthos, Flora, Oden, Thorin, Almus, Nemora, Lucius, and Ainz, they're very, very tough. We call them trap bosses. If you have a team where you have 3 Floras, you have 2 Thorins, or even a Thorin and a Isolde, it's very, very, trust me, very hard to kill that camp. You are going to dump a ton of stamina in there, even with relics, even with some of the strongest teams. You're going to need either help to kill it, you're going to skip it, or you're just going to dump all your stamina and still lose. When you're adding new heroes, make sure to unslot your main team and reslot them in your 60 stamina slots. So essentially, once you open up the teams, which you can see here, once we open up Baron, you get 5 additional slots. Put your strongest team in. So I would actually swap out my Iran team, my main celerity team, swap them in the Baron slot so I have all of my best heroes, which are now sitting at 60 stamina. And the new team that I'm bringing in will start regenerating stamina when they come in. So, and of course, try to avoid using 4 times speed or 2 times. If you get wiped in the fight, you cannot use the heroes again. Very, very important to stress. Again, if you restart a battle, it costs 1 stamina. If you lose a hero, you lose 2. If you don't win in 30 seconds, you lose 2. If you lose the fight, you cannot attack it again with those same heroes because they will be defeated. Slow down when you're taking camps, 2 at the maximum. For speed, maybe if it says it's a very trivial battle, but making sure that you do not just fly through here, because a lot of times you'll lose a hero in just a split second, and then you'll lose out on 2 stamina essentially from when you beat the camp itself. So Miscellaneous, I'll add a few more resources, so definitely keep the link again to Reddit. I highly recommend looking over these well. If you're a new player, enjoy the event. It is a game. It is about having fun. There's no reason that you should put 5 hours every single day looking through the Abyssal Expedition, especially when you don't have stamina. When there's nothing to do, you really just wait for relics at that point. So make sure, again, have fun with it. A lot of people absolutely dread this event. I think it is one of the best ones in AFK Arena. Absolutely love it. So this is kind of the beginner's guide. If you've been running through the Abyssal Expedition since the start, you know exactly what to do. You know how the game goes down. You know the tiles to use, the cities to go to. General guide for newer players to go ahead and progress through the Abyssal Expedition. So big shout out to Artie. Definitely loving the guides. It was a I was going to do an early player guide similar to this, but when I seen Artie's guide, I was like, you know what? All of the information that is the basic information when it comes to running the Abyssal Expedition is right here in a very clear-cut guide, just like we've seen from Sushi, just like we've seen from Artie. Very cool. So get ready. The Abyssal Expedition will be here in a couple hours. It is in the matchmaking process right now. So for me, it is 7 p.m. Tonight, the Abyssal Expedition will launch and we'll be able to hop in there. Choose your side, whether you're going with the right or the left side. Really focus right now in seeing what heroes you're going to bring, equipping them with the faction gears, building them up as strong as you can. So if you do have extra emblems, maybe throwing a couple more on the heroes you know you're going to be using in the Abyssal Expedition, because it will help you in the long run, because they'll be stronger in the Abyssal Expedition. So guys, let me know in the comments what you guys think, and as always, thank you guys for watching.